Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. IBC. The Companies Amendment. Companies. Mr. Speaker, some time ago, I think a few months ago, the EU made a pronouncement about blacklisting, and I made a statement about it. And I was, as usual, I was vilified, I was called all kind of names, because I made a point that St. Lucia, right, I made a point that St. Lucia should try to get themselves out of that situation. And then because I said that St. Lucia was blacklisted because of the base erosion and profit sharing, because the EU thought that we gave these shell companies an advantage. I didn't mean any harm, but I made a statement, which is a statement of truth. And as usual, the long knives were out. When we were passing the headquarters agreement, I also made that point, the headquarters bill, that we may have some issues with tax compliance about the headquarters bill. Again, usual. But now the reality has come home, and we have to make amendments and adjustments to our local laws to deal with the EU and the OECD problems. So what that shows us is when we grandstand on the local stage, there are things that we cannot grandstand on, and the reality and the truth will come to bear. I happened to be around when St. Lucia went into the financial services sector, the IBCs, the National Trust, the partnership, etc. And we took a lot of time to get there, because during that time, there was a lot of controversy, a lot of issues regarding shell companies in the BVI, etc. So we came in last. And when we came in, we tried to take all the necessary precautions so that we could not enter into problems. We had some teething problems, but at that point, we did a novel thing. We allowed the private sector to handle the registration, etc., in a private sector company, working with the government, and the government handled the regulation, and the private sector handled the registration. But you know, things have really come full circle. When I heard the Honorable Prime Minister talking about, you'll oppose for opposition's sake, and you'll do this, you'll do that. That arrangement was criticized heavily by the United Workers' Party when they were in opposition. Heavily, not understanding what we were trying to do, in that we were trying to see if we could isolate regulation from transactions. Now, we've come full circle, and we have to amend the laws to deal with the reality. All I want to say is that a lot of things we sit and we say here, speaking, trying to impress the local gallery, and trying to score cheap points. The reality will come home to bear, and that is an example of the reality. So IBCs, as we know them, will no longer exist. The Prime Minister said that trusts and partnerships, you'll have to come with new legislation so to cause them to function. I await that. And it's not something that you have to be happy about, because we know that the EU sometimes has different criteria for different countries. But the fact is, when locally you make these points, they castigate you, and they come after you when you make these points that they know is true. But the fact that it's being said by the opposition, they have to score cheap points and malign you and perpetrate you. But right now, the truth has come. And they can sit there and say whatever they want. The reality is, when they speak to the people in the EU, they have to do what the people say and do it as they say, when they say. So you can stay here and you can attack me and say all the things you want about us. But the reality is you have to deal with it. So they have to, because that's the world we live in. And the sooner we get to understand, that's the world we live in. And we learn like this as the situation with de-risking. I've said to the Prime Minister, this is a serious thing, and then the opposition does not mind assisting as far as that's concerned. Because it's serious, and it's not something that will affect you. You know, because you see, sometimes we seem to believe that this country belongs to me, you or somebody. It belongs to all the people of the country. And there are some issues that you will have to deal with. So you'll run, but you cannot hide. The risking is something we have to deal with. You have to deal with it. But no, we do not want to pretend that we are long and mighty and we can do it all ourselves. So, and I have the amendments to the IBC Act. I had a discussion, and I think I had some problems with the Companies Act. Yeah, sorry. I had some issues, but I think I've got them rectified. I understand what they have to do in terms of the beneficial, the BOs, the beneficial owners. I had some questions on who the beneficial owner was, and I got an explanation which I accepted it. So generally, I do not have any issues with the amendments, but I hope that these amendments will be sufficient for the EU. I hope that we've done what the EU has asked us, has demanded that we do, because really it's a matter of demand. We almost left in a situation where we cannot bargain. And that is why it's important that we have a certain unity of purpose locally as far as these things is concerned. So we can go to the EU and say we go in with a united effort to deal with these issues. There's a section, I guess I can do that during the committee stages. I guess I can do it. But it is a new era, a new ethos. Financial services, as we know it, we no longer exist. And I'm sure that many of these companies, since they have lost the advantage of the 1% taxation, I'm sure that many of them will probably cease. Or the thing is that they may even go to other countries where the EU does not apply the same laws, which is very sad, in that the EU sometimes has different strokes for different folks. But that's the reality we deal with, and I hope that these amendments will meet the requirements of the EU. I thank you.